Good day, and welcome to the introductory demo of Qvinci for franchises, multi-unit SMBs, and organizations. Some ground work here. Whether you're a organization, a nonprofit, a franchise, or a multi-unit SMB, the paradigm's really the same. Your income, for instance, counts maybe in a diocese might be tithes and offerings versus a franchise services and widgets. But the paradigm's the same, and the paradigm is collecting financial data from a plurality of remote entities, standardizing the data, and reporting across all the entities. And that's what this demonstration is going to show. So let's hop right into the first phase of the demonstration, the Qvinci portal. What you're looking at is the Qvinci portal. And the portal is a centralized location where you and all of your FTEs, your full-time equivalents, your staff members at the corporate layer, the franchise, the central office, the diocese, can collaborate across all the remote entities in the system. The remote units, the franchisees or the parishes, the schools, those sort of things, those don't log in and look at the portal. This is strictly a corporate layer type solution. And what the portal allows you to do, you and your staff, to be arranged to look at these remote entities. And this is like a QuickBooks file, if you will, or a financial file. And when you have this solution, what we're doing is we're syncing the data automatically from all the locations every day, overnight. And so you specify what the name of this entity is. And you can see I've got Holy Family Church here, or Austin 1. It might be Unit 123, or it might be 123 Elm Street. And so you set up your clients or your remote entities in the system and link and sync the files. And the sync will automatically happen in the background. The people that work at Jackson 13 don't have to do anything realistically. They link their file one time and the data is going to automatically come over. And you and your staff are going to collaborate across the data across all these entities. Now I should mention these columns are all sortable in ascending and descending order by type and kind, and all the cells are hot. That means that if I wanted to look at this report, the same month last year, last month, the percent change, if I click the cell, I'm going to get this report for this entity. In the case of Holy Family Church, if I click this, I'm going to get this report for this entity. And we have a lot of reports built into the system for you. As I scroll to the right here, you can see we have AR, AP, and cash and balance sheet. So imagine that you and your staff, central staff, are logging in and looking across the entities that you have. And I should point out that each one of these entities may be running a different financial solution. This might be QuickBooks Online, and Desktop Pro 2011, Xero, Excel. We're syncing the data from the plurality of file types and standardizing the reporting for you. And as you click through, you and your staff navigate through, you can look at ratios and revenue last fiscal year to the same month. It's a period over period type report. And you'll invite your users, your internal users, to join. And they're going to see the locations that you've invited them to join. So if you have a consultant or someone who's in charge of these first 10 locations, you'll invite them to join, and they'll only see these first 10 locations. But maybe at the higher level in the corporate entity, you see them all. Now, one of the things we have for you that's really, really powerful is this concept of status fields and note fields. And you get 3 fully customizable status fields and 2 note fields. Status fields work like this. You at the corporate entity decide, I'm going to set up a workflow or a list of clients by type, by kind, or deanery, something like that. It's fully customizable. You'll name it what you want, and you can create these pull downs. And these could be lists, and it could be dates. It could be, in the case of a quick service restaurant, it could be the number of drive-through lanes that are attached to each unit, so that you can sort them by type and kind. Or it could be a workflow. In this case, we've got a little bit of a workflow here. Let me sort this in ascending and descending order. You can see I've got all these units in here, and as I and my staff collaborate, Jane comes in, she says, I need to reconcile the statements, and they can, Jim, leave a note for Jim, ready to close, for instance. So imagine that you have 3 of these types of fields and 2 of these types of note fields, and as you and your staff work the data across a system, the workflow moves, and you're collaborating and communicating with each other. You're not sending email to each other. You're not sending financial data to each other, which is it's very unsecure. You use the portal to collaborate across your entities. And the portal is very easy to use. As soon as you start linking and syncing files, the data just starts pipelining, and it's always kept up to date because, again, we're automatically syncing from all these locations, regardless of the file type. And so imagine how much time and effort you and your staff at the corporate layer could save by seeing data sets like this very simply, very easily, and arranging the portal view the way you want. Each user gets to arrange these columns. They all move around. You can drag and drop them to the left and right of the split and change the order of events and move them around like I'm doing here. And you get out of this mode of having to send emails to remind people to do things. Just log in and look at the results. Work your lists that you've set up and leave your notes. And you have empirical data that you can very quickly drill down to underlying reports. That way you don't have to contact the person that's in charge of New York 21 and say, would you send me your data? Would you send me your AR report? Or you wouldn't have to open the QuickBooks file and go run a report and download it. You simply click this report and it's going to open up for New York 21. So the portal is a tool for collaboration of you and your corporate entity types, your franchise management consultants, the people that run your parishes, the people that are business managers in your stores, if you want to do it that way, or maybe you've got a regional manager. This is where you and your decision makers collaborate across all the units in your ecosystem. What we're going to look at next are the libraries, and we have 3 distinct libraries, and you use these libraries for report automation. Report automation and templating is where you build a report one time and you get it in the structure that you want with all the tools that you want, the custom formulas, KPIs, that sort of thing. Get everything the way you want it, and then you save it and you share it across the plurality of your FTEs and your clients or your endpoints. You build a report one time, a template one time, and it constitutes and hydrates across all your customers correctly. This is where the automation comes in, where you can build something once and use it across all of your clients regardless of the chart of accounts. And we do this through libraries. We have a report library, a document library, and a package library. And what we're going to look at right now is the report library, the report authoring tool. And so in this library, you can see that I've got a handful of reports that I've built, and one of them, I call it by unit with KPIs. And so what you say is, look, I want to build a report, and it's by unit, or it's by months, or by periods, and just kind of choose the data elements that you want to have, because what I want to do is build a template that will work across them all. So let's open this report up and see what it looks like. And so you'll notice that it has an Excel-like interface. If you're familiar with Excel, you're going to be right at home here. And you'll notice that I've built a report, and I've got this banner green, and I've got the client name in here, and I can use what we call macros, %, customer, %, and it'll automatically, when you run it across this report, across a customer, it'll put their name in. Now this report is a by location or a by unit or a by parish report, if you will, and these are the names of my units. When I built this report, I said, look, I want this report to run, and depending on how many units are chosen to run against, I want you to give me columns for each one of these things. Now, Qvinci has this concept of standardized charts of accounts. So remember, we said earlier we're going to sync all the data across all these units, regardless of the file types that they got. Well, Qvinci owns the patent on standardized reporting, so each one of these locations will probably have a different chart of accounts. But the mapping tool will allow you to specify the structure that you want, bring the incoming data, and put them all in that same structure, so you can put them side by side. So that this report will run, it'll automatically populate the name of the client and the numbers of locations that are part of his ecosystem. If he's got 2, he'll have 2. If he has 10, he'll have 10 in this case. And you can see we're consolidating over here on the right side over here. And all this happens in a matter of milliseconds. Now, one of the things that we do is we allow you to create this structure, this style. I always want total service income across my customers to be blue with white text, and total income to be green with white text. And regardless of what happens in the chart of accounts, when this thing runs, that name of that account is always going to be blue, and that one's always going to be green. And you'll notice that if I come down here, I've added a new row. This doesn't come out of QuickBooks, the gross margin row. And I put it right before, I insert it as a row, I put gross margin in, and you can see that I added a formula, and I filled it right, just like Excel. And so from now on, when this report runs, the gross margin calculation is going to be there across 1 to n units that it runs against. And so you can add custom rows and columns and custom metrics. And you can see that we have all kinds of things here. We can, you can format cells with percents and financial and currency and dates, and you can make them bold and reverse highlighted, and pick colors, left align, center line, that sort of thing. Literally build a custom reporting template that will hydrate across all your clients automatically. Build it once, use it many times. You'll notice down here I added another sheet called a KPI sheet. And if I click the KPI sheet, what this does is I have cross-sheet references. This page is a KPI page, and I'm referencing total service income and engine COGS on this previous page over here, and I got my calculation here. And you can have custom KPI pages here. You can see the idea of, it's one thing to have the data, it's another thing to give the business analysis to the client on the fly immediately. Now, I'm going to go back and mention that because we are syncing all of these files automatically every day, this report's going to update, the KPI is going to update. So it doesn't matter if you have one unit or one location or 10 locations, this report's going to hydrate correctly. And so this is a piece of a report that can be used in combined with other reports. So let's hop back over to the library and look at one more of these things real quickly, and we'll show you kind of something that's extremely unique. And like I said, we own the patents on these things, so no one else has a solution that will do some of the things that we're talking about here. So we'll hop into one, and you'll notice one here. I have one here called Dynamic Last 3 Months. I want a report that runs across all the units consolidated for the most recent 3 months. Let's see what that looks like. So as I click the editor, it opens it up, and you'll notice that, look at this report. I've got this report here. It's got % columns. Now, when I designed this report, I said I always want to use the most recent 3 months. So columns is always going to be the most recent 3 months. And service income and % account names and these are the names of the accounts that I want. The bottom line is this, is when, as an example, if I were to preview this like it's going to happen, this is how it will hydrate. It goes out and says, okay, I'm going to take the most recent 3 months. And notice it's November, December, January, because we're in February when I shot this. And here are the accounts that I chose for it to be used against. So you can build these macro-driven dynamic reports, and if I run this across these filter entities, across the units I select, I can select the units, the locations that I want, select them according to properties and filters. Show me all the locations that have 5 to 3 drive-through bays. That's what I care about, and that's them. And not only 5 to 3 drive-through bays, but all the ones that are in the South region that have drive-through bays. These are the units, and if I select these units and I apply these filters and I refresh the report, the data that's going to be here is going to be across the units that I selected as a result of these filters. So you get to pick and choose the filters you're going to run against, and so do your clients. Now your clients or your endpoints, your franchisees, your parishes and schools, whatever, they only see the ones that you invite them to join, but they can do the same kind of thing. So if you had someone that managed 8 locations, he could pick and choose and sift and sort the units, and when he runs these reports, the data that you've selected in this template is going to be here. And that, in a nutshell, is the report library. You at the central location and your users at the central location that are collaborating will build standard reports, and you'll dock them in your report library, and you will simply share them by clicking this button, and now this report is shared with everybody internally in my system. And they can do save as, make copies, make minor changes to it. It's that simple. The concept is to build one report, put it in libraries, and share it and use it many, many times. And that's how you get scalability, that's how you get standards, that's how you get repeatability. Next up, we have the document library. And the document library is all things textual. Cover pages, table of contents, introductory pages. And you can see in this document library, I have a cover page that I've created. Let's take a look at see what that looks like. And so when you want to deliver standard reports or a package, we're going to call these packages, you want to have, there's text things that go along with the empirical things that are in the report library. Cover pages, explanatory pages. So here's my cover page, and I build it one time. And remember, when we have a library, we share things with other people. And I have a cover page. I simply click shared, and all the users in your ecosystem can now build and combine reports and documents into packages using this cover page just simply by clicking this. And so that's all the document editor is. Simply cut and paste from an HTML document or from a Word document, put the elements in there. And if you wanted to build something that said, dear %% customer %%, at the time the package runs, it's going to put the customer name in there, and you can do dates and all kinds of things. So it's a good way to add things that will make your presentations much more professional, make them look the same, because we really want everybody singing from the same songbook. Your franchise consultants or your internal people looking at data the same way as the people in the field, talking about the same things the same way, and using documents is a great way to give interpretive guidance to those people in the field that are going to be looking at your reports. And the final part of the report templating system is what we call the package library. And this is where you assemble reports and documents together into a automatically hydrating or updating package. Now remember, we had these entities up here that we wanted to run this thing against, and so I've got a package here called Cali Auto Group, and let's go inside the package and see what this thing looks like. The idea behind packages is we're going to build an intelligent PDF for you on the fly. So here's our reports, here's our documents, and you can have headers and footers and that sort of thing. And you simply create a package and drag in order that you want the documents and the reports. So cover page is going to be the same. By unit KPI, I don't care how many units it is, the units are determined by what I select at runtime. The standard package, you can share this with everybody. And so what you'll do is you'll have a package here, and people just do this. They'll click download. And if I have 8 locations or 6 locations, 7 locations, it's going to automatically go out and constitute and build that standard reporting structure with my units and the data from my units. I click ready for download. Qvinci goes out and pulls the data for that unit, and here's the output. Here's the cover page, and here's the P&L. Across the units have been selected. Here's that custom analytic, that gross margin, and you can see this is going to be the same. And if I ran this report and I had Missoula and New York and Roanoke, I would only see Mizzou, New York and Roanoke in my report, but the structure would be the same. And then I come down here, and here's some more listings. And then here's a little KPI, the dynamic P&L KPI. I've only selected a handful of accounts here, and I've built a forward sales as a percent of total income. And here's my side-by-side for the units I'm running this thing against. And that's how you do it. And here's a peer benchmarking report, the average of the top 20% in the ecosystem. A very powerful report. That's how you do it, folks. Very simple to use, very easy to use. Build it once, run it many, many times, and it runs across 1 to 10 units, 50 units, 100 units, whatever you want to do. But you get the ability of standardization, scalability, and reusability without doing something many, many, many times for every one of your clients. And that's the package library. It's an intelligent delivery mechanism. There are a lot of other capabilities in the system, from things like health check to check the status of your files, to performance, to alerting systems. I'd like to thank you for joining the demonstration today. On this slide, you will see that we are contact points where you can reach out to us. We can do a deeper dive for you. You can contact one of our specialist consultants, and they can show you things that are just take a lot longer than a 16-minute video, and discuss your particular needs. We know that Qvinci solves many problems for many clients that we have that have multi-unit entities that they're attempting to collect data and standardize reporting. Qvinci is the solution. I thank you for your time today. Contact us. We'd be glad to help. Thank you.